Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So tonight we're going to talk about Andrew Yang. And how he won. Yeah, and a weird night to talk about that, given the fact that he just ended his run for the Democratic nomination. But he won. Andrew Yang kind of put himself out there as somebody who's good at math. I don't think that he had any delusions about whether or not he was going to win the nomination. He knew he was a long shot. He knew he wasn't a viable candidate. His idea, outside looking in, was he was a messenger candidate. He was trying to bring a new idea to the forefront. He succeeded. He succeeded. You have hundreds of thousands of people now familiar with the idea of universal basic income. That in and of itself to me means nothing. Beyond that, there are hundreds of thousands of people who, without him, would not have embraced a radical idea. That's a radical concept. And in order to embrace that idea, they had to admit something to themselves. They had to admit that the current system isn't sustainable. They had to admit that the system as it is flawed and will fail. He did that. He got that message out. You know, people pointing to this campaign as a failure because they're looking at it from a political standpoint, as in election politics. Well, he went on podcast and embraced meme culture and it didn't get him anywhere. I don't know about that. If creating hundreds of thousands of people who have accepted the idea that we need systemic change, if that's a failure, I hope one day to fail as hard as he did. I would say that it was a huge success in that regard. But see, now you got another question. It's to those people. All right, your Messiah, he's not going to be the candidate. Probably won't run for the nomination in 4 years. It's over. But you've been introduced to that radical idea. That idea that this system is flawed and will fail without systemic change. What do you do now? Do you give up because you don't have Yang? Because you don't have a leader? You can. I don't think many would fault you. But for that percentage of his Yang gang that looked a little deeper into it and got into the fact that this is something that has to happen, not necessarily UBI, but some form of systemic change. You know now, you have the means, you have the responsibility. You can't stop. You can't become politically inactive simply because your candidate didn't get the nomination. I don't think your candidate ever intended to get the nomination. I think he intended to create you. You don't need a political candidate to fall behind and follow everything they do and support no matter what. If there's anything you can learn from that campaign, it's that radical ideas and new thought can come from anywhere. Nobody pictured Andrew Yang coming to the Democratic Party and introducing this idea as something that could happen. But it did. You don't need a leader. You've got the thought. Now run with it. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good night.